What if everything you love now was hidden from you before? Hi there, I'm Chris with a K, and welcome back to This Week in Queer History, where we celebrate queer moments and icons that I wish I had known about as a young gay kid growing up in conservative America. This week marks the 31st anniversary of The Celluloid Closet, which is a documentary that pulled back the curtain on how Hollywood once erased, punished, and coded queer lives. And it also inspired today's video. Today we're going to look at 3 major showdowns between LGBTQ creativity and censorship, from the Hays Code to today's social media platforms, and how our community has always found a way to break through the silence.
This week in queer history, stories told with love and glee.
In 1996, The Celluloid Closet premiered and quietly changed how many of us understood film history. It was based on Vito Russo's groundbreaking book of the same title, and the documentary revealed something shocking but very familiar. Queer people had always been in movies, but almost never allowed to live happily ever after. The documentary traces all the way back to an 1894 silent film and then shows the repression that begins in 1930 when Hollywood adopted the Hays Code, or the Motion Picture Production Code, and it was later enforced strictly starting in 1934. Within this restrictive code was a line banning sex perversion, which studios understood as homosexuality and gender variance, and that single phrase erased queer joy from American cinema for decades. Under the Hays Code, LGBTQ characters could only be portrayed as jokes, villains, or tragedies. They could be implied but not named, desired but not fulfilled. If characters' queerness became too visible, they were punished, often by death before the credits rolled. But filmmakers who wanted to still tell the truth of life adapted. Same-sex desire was pushed into subtext. Effeminate men and masculine women became stand-ins. Intimate friendships carried emotional weight that the camera wasn't allowed to explain. Films like Rope in 1948 and Ben-Hur in 1959 relied on coded performances to tell queer stories without saying the words. And tuned-in audiences, especially queer viewers, they noticed. The Celluloid Closet doesn't just document repression, it honors ingenuity. It shows how artists smuggled truth past censors and how queer audiences learned to read between the frames. Visibility didn't disappear, it learned to camouflage. By the early 1960s, society was changing and the cracks began to form. In 1961, the British film Victim became the first English-language movie to say the word homosexual and portray gay men with empathy. American censors refused to approve it. And that inhumane refusal and audiences' disapproval of that censorship signaled the beginning of the end for the Hays Code. In 1968, the repressive Hays Code collapsed, replaced by a rating system. Queer stories could finally step into the light. But as movies were becoming more progressive, comic books took a hit, and they were the next target. In 1954, the Comics Code Authority banned sexual abnormalities, erasing LGBTQ characters from mainstream comics for over 35 years. Publishers scrambled. Batman gained girlfriends. Subtext replaced text. Queer readers learned to decode again. And that ban lifted, allowing Marvel's North Star to come out 3 years later as gay. Decades of silence ended with a single panel. Television followed a similar pattern. Early TV avoided queer lives or framed them as cautionary tales. In 1973, All in the Family aired a landmark episode revealing a gay character as Archie Bunker's old friend. In 1975, networks pushed queer content out of early prime time under the family viewing hour. And writers pushed back with humor, nuance, and persistence. Shows like Barney Miller worked with LGBTQ advocates to keep gay characters smart and human. And British radio comedy Round the Horn slipped camp joy past censors using coded slang, Polari, and plenty of wit. Independent film became a refuge, public television opened doors, and queer stories found ways around locked gates. And then the glorious internet happened. YouTube launched in 2005, and suddenly queer people didn't need permission. Tyler Oakley, Hannah Hart, Gigi Gorgeous, Kat Black. These LGBTQ creators were teaching history, sharing stories, and building global communities. But then the algorithms arrived. In 2017, YouTube's restricted mode quietly flagged LGBTQ videos as inappropriate, even when they were just educational. Creators protested, hashtags like YouTube is over party trended. YouTube apologized and adjusted its systems. But YouTube wasn't alone. Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr had their own censorship struggles. Words were shadow banned, posts were quietly buried, entire communities were pushed into silence because of automated algorithmic moderation, because they didn't understand queer culture or language. Tumblr's 2018 adult content ban devastated LGBTQ users. TikTok restricted queer hashtags in multiple regions. Instagram users watched as their reach dropped without explanation. Once again, queerness in real life wasn't erased, but it was hidden online. But if we know anything about queer people, it's that we will always find a way. Queer creators learned to code language. Communities migrated. New platforms emerged. The pattern from the celluloid closet repeated itself in real time. When visibility is threatened, we get creative. Growing up in Utah, I had this uncanny sense that the world felt very small. Not because anyone told me that it was, but because so much of it was hidden. Hidden language, hidden images, hidden stories. Queer lives, they just weren't discussed. They were missing. And the absence of something like that shapes you before you even realize that it has. And I didn't discover queer history through school or family. I found it by sneaking out, by renting videos at the Tower Theater down on 9th and 9th in Salt Lake City, by sitting in the dark watching stories that felt like secret messages meant for me. Those films didn't just show me gay characters, they opened up worlds of possibility. That's why the celluloid closet moved me so much when I saw it. It doesn't discuss ancient history, but it's an important reminder of how easy stories disappear when the gatekeepers in power decide what's acceptable. Hollywood did it, comic books did it, television did it, and now algorithms do it. Modern censorship is much quieter. Content doesn't vanish, it just stops being shown. Knowledge gets delayed, connection gets interrupted, and someone who needs a story might never find it. And I am very aware that everything that I create online exists at the pleasure of the platforms that I don't control. And it's not fear, but it is a valuable thing to recognize. History shows us that centralized control over culture is dangerous. And that's why when we find someone that we truly value online, that we connect with them through every possible platform. If one platform decides to change what can and can't be seen, you have another to make sure that the full story is being delivered to you. So be sure to follow me on all of the platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Blue Sky. But what if all of those mega platforms all censored LGBTQ content? How would we stay connected? And I've been thinking about this a lot, so I looked out there and I've decided that I'm going to launch an online community space on Circle. And this is a place where we own and we shape and we build our stories without the fear of being shadow banned. It's a free space where queer history, creativity, resources, and conversations aren't filtered by algorithms or buried by shadow bans that don't understand us. This space is about continuity, about making sure we stay connected no matter what happens on these larger platforms, about building something held, not rented. So if you want, click the link above or down in the description and join me and so many others in this protected space that is built for us. If nothing else, queer history teaches us this lesson clearly. When one door closes, we don't wait quietly. We bust through the wall and build another entrance together. Thanks for watching this video, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments here and over in the Circle community space. Again, the link is up above and down in the description below. Until next time, stay strong, stay bold, and keep making history.